Hello guys, so just after the panel, I think at CryptoBahamas, we are here with Tegan Kline, co-founder of H&Node, the company behind the Graph, one of the biggest indexing protocol for Web3. Nice to meet you here,
Yeah,
Tegan.
you as well. Thanks so much.
So can you tell us about your journey into crypto? How did you get into it? What's your background?
Absolutely, yeah. So I actually started in traditional finance. So I was in investment banking at Bank of America and then sales and trading at Barclays. And so being kind of full-time, almost 6 years on Wall Street, I really kind of saw some of the inefficiencies firsthand within the banking industry. And so that actually lended itself well when I learned about Ethereum in 2016. And I saw an opportunity to create a new internet, a new financial system. And here we are kind of building that today, which is really exciting.
So very involved into some other projects before working with the Graph?
Yes, yeah. So I joined a decentralized VPN, and we were working to build out a private layer 1 with a VPN on top. And I actually helped to launch that project. But building a DApp on Ethereum, I saw kind of firsthand how challenging it was, and the infrastructure really wasn't ready for the application layer. And I would argue that still today, the Web3 stack is being solidified. And so where I find, the space that I find most interesting right now is actually at the protocol layer within that Web3 stack. And so I joined the Graph ecosystem and helped to launch the Graph, and now H&Node is one of the many companies that exist within the Graph ecosystem.
Yeah, so how did it start with the Graph? What did excite you to join the company?
Yeah, so Brandon, Giannis, and Yaniv, they're all engineers. They came from Web2. They were at MuleSoft. They took that through the Salesforce IPO, so a very large monopoly within the SaaS space. And they're from developer tooling, so they actually came to build an application on Ethereum in 2017, and they realized that this core piece of the stack was missing. You basically had a blockchain that you could not query, you couldn't search. And so the idea was the Graph was formed, and the Graph, it was founded and predicated on the same values of Bitcoin and Ethereum, so open source, decentralized, permissionless tech. And we launched the decentralized network a little over a year ago now.
That's great. And you as well support 31 blockchain and layer 2 solutions as well. Which layer 1s and layer 2s do you see the most exciting?
Yeah, great question. So Ethereum still has a ton of development and traction. A lot of the layer 2, so Optimism, Arbitrum, ZK Sync, Boba Network as well, they're here. And then also we're working on Solana, the Solana integration, we're working on the Cosmos integration. So those will be announced soon.
Cool. And can you tell about your ecosystem fund of 205 million?
Yeah.
Which projects are funded?
Yeah, so this fund was actually created by other funds within the space. So DCG, Multicoin, Reciprocal Ventures, Gumi Cryptos, and a few others, they came together to create an ecosystem fund, and they put 205 million. Fambushi actually joined that ecosystem fund, so it's a little bit larger today. And so any developers building on the Graph or using the Graph's tech are eligible to go and pitch those VCs and funds, and they have that pool of money kind of sitting aside for those developers, which is really exciting.
So how many projects are already funded, and what type of projects are these?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I would need to check with them, but all of the different use cases that exist within Web3 are building on the Graph. So DeFi, DAOs, NFTs, gaming, metaverse, you name it, the Graph kind of enables it in that decentralized way.
Yeah, and can you tell the differences, for example, between other API indexing protocols? For example, there is Chainlink, but it seems like you are vice versa with them.
Yeah.
There is as well Covalent, any other competitors in the space?
Yeah, so Chainlink is at the Oracle space, so it's actually very complementary. So Chainlink brings real-world data onto the blockchain, they verify that data, and then the Graph can actually index that data once it's on-chain. And then the Graph is the only decentralized indexing and query layer. So projects like Covalent, I believe that they are kind of centralized with a governance token on top. So very different model. The Graph is decentralized with the utility work token, and you actually pay as you query the blockchain, as you search these applications, you pay in GRT tokens just like you pay for gas on Ethereum.
And can you tell more how the Graph token works?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 roles within the Graph network that earn GRT tokens. So there's the indexers, which is the most technical. They're doing the heavy lift. It's kind of like Web 2 has one Google, the graph has many different Googles, and those are these different indexer nodes. And so they're serving the queries, they're indexing the subgraphs, which is a proxy for applications. And then you have the delegators. This is the least technical role. So you delegate to the indexers and then they share profits with you. And you're doing that to help secure the graph network and also give those indexers a larger stake. And then there's also the curators, which is a role where you're looking at the subgraphs and you're making a bet as to which subgraph is the best subgraph and is going to see the most activity. And the curators earn 10% of the rewards, the GRT rewards, if they make the right bet on those subgraphs.
Cool. And can you tell as well how your banking background helped you to build a crypto company, and how do you see the traditional people, bank institutions moving into crypto a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So banking, I mean, it's super fascinating, right? So in traditional investment banking, I was in the financial institutions group. So banks, insurance companies, each have a different way to model. But looking at IPOs and mergers and acquisitions kind of from a traditional lens, but you very much are like this middleman in between this transaction. You're helping companies go public, and then in sales and trading, I was on the fixed income desk, and so you're really this middleman between these transactions. So someone wants to do repo, you help them execute that trade. And so just kind of having that knowledge. Also within the banking industry, because the banking space moved so quickly, a lot of the tech is very finicky. It's almost like a stack of Legos on top of one another. So it's just interesting to see that. And then also the tech stack within Barclays is the same tech stack built centralized. So developer resources built this tech stack, and then same thing with Bank of America to like build that tech stack. So there's a lot of redundancies across all of these banking institutions. And so in the Web3 space, you remove that redundancy. It's all at the protocol layer, public good, just like the graph is a public good. And then everyone can benefit from those protocols on top. And so there's not as much redundancy in the Web3 space.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And as well, what are your thoughts on development of DeFi space?
Yeah, so I think the DeFi space is super fascinating. We saw a big run up within the DeFi space, and the graph really enabled a lot of that, just like the graph enables a lot of other use cases. A lot of what happens in DeFi can't happen in the traditional space. Like you look at flash loans, like that's not possible in centralized finance. You also look at the transparency layer, like the transparency piece of all of this. And I mean, you saw the financial crisis, and a lot of those banks, I mean, it took them what, like 10 plus years, 20 plus years to figure out where all those bonds were. Within the crypto space, like you know exactly where everything is because of the blockchain, because of that transparency. So if we had this technology back then, I think it wouldn't have been such a large financial crisis.
And do you think that banking institutions will adopt DeFi in future?
So I think that they will. I think that within the DeFi space, there's a lot of opportunities for banks to help because, like as an example, if you take out a loan and it's collateralized, you don't get a margin call like you get in traditional banking. Like in traditional banking, they'll call you up, they'll say, hey, like you're getting close to like the margin call layer, like you need to add more collateral. And within the crypto space, you don't have that. And so there's a lot of room for these institutions to come in and help be that mediator between. But it is kind of disrupting their business models a bit. So we'll see who's the first mover advantage, who has the first mover advantage there.
And in your opinion, what is needed for mass adoption of crypto?
I think it's just time. So the Web3 stack, all the pieces are there. They just need to start integrating with one another. And so the developers are working on integrating those pieces of the stack now. Once that Web3 stack is solidified, all those protocols are all connected and talking to each other. That's when you'll see the really cool applications on top. And it'll be like, it used to be like teams would be needed to create a website, because you have to figure out which pieces of the stack to use. It was super expensive. And now like you create a website, you push a button. You know, my mom could do it.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll get there with decentralized applications as well. It'll get that easy to create an application.
And can you share as well some investment advices into which coins you invest?
Oh man, I mean, so a lot of these tokens are utility work tokens, so I'm leveraging the tech and using the tech. I would say I'm really excited about the layer 2s, so Optimism, Arbitrum, ZK Sync, Starkware, Boba Network. I'm really excited about kind of scaling Ethereum, but then I think like, we will live in this multi-chain future, and so all of these chains need to connect with one another. There are other layer 1s that are working on different kind of use cases and solutions in Ethereum, so I'm really excited about all of that. But then the protocol layer, so Celestia is at the data availability layer. I'm really excited about them. Connecting the layer 2s. Ceramic at the data layer. Yeah, just really excited about kind of the protocol stack. AAVE IPFS as well at the storage layer.
And what about NFTs, gaming tokens?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the NFT space has a long way to go. We're actually working on being able to fetch metadata from IPFS and AAVE. Right now, it's just a lot of like HTTP addresses connected to so it's not as secure as it should be. I really think we need to bring the values of crypto into the NFT space. And so, but I am really excited about that. I think NFTs are a new way for artists to connect with their fans. Like that's never been before possible. Like you have this fan base that's really excited about you. They're willing to pay large amounts of money to be connected to you. And now artists can tap into that, which is exciting. I have a CryptoPunk, but yeah, excited about the NFT space and getting artists and creators funded. But I think like the gaming use cases, the metaverse use cases, those will come in a big way once that Web3 stack is solidified, and I think it'll be solidified towards the end of this year.
Yes, it's true. And can you share some upcoming plans for the development of the graph?
Yeah, so the roadmap was just released. There are now 5 core developers building within the graph ecosystem. So we're working on AAVE, Polkadot, Solana, and Cosmos, all kind of in tandem. So those will be coming soon. And then we have Graph Day in San Francisco on June 2nd. It's a conference. It's the biggest Web3 event that San Francisco has ever seen. And then it'll be followed by a 3-day hackathon. So if you're interested, come. There'll be over 10 announcements there between the graph and other Web3 projects and protocols. So really looking forward to it.
That's cool. I think it's one of the first events in California after
COVID. I know. Everyone's like, San Francisco, we don't want to go back there. But I think we want to revive San Francisco.
That's great. Thank you for interesting
Thank
conversation.
you. No, this was great. Thanks so much.